When Tamashi showed off the first promo image for Izuku half a year ago, I literally went, "Damn!" The design looks so badass and I was instantly sold. I wasn't even caught up on the anime at that point because I got bored somewhere in season 3, but I knew I had to get him, so I went back and rewatched the earlier seasons and binged all the way to the latest episode, just to justify the purchase. But now that he's finally here, let's see if the One for All successor lives up to the hype. Taking a look at the box he comes in, not gonna lie, I wasn't really impressed. It looks fine, but I was just hoping for more. For example, I think it would have already looked a lot better if they used a black background rather than a white one. I do like how bold his hero name Deku is behind the Japanese characters for his actual name. Here's how he looks like in his tray along with all of his accessories, which we'll get to in detail later. Out of the box, I gotta say he looks as good as how the promo images depicted him. Green isn't my favorite color, but you have to admit that all of the elements of his costume, even with so many different accent colors, all come together really well. His likeness is great, from his face to his proportions. This is pretty much how I remember Deku to be in the latest season of the anime. I think Tamashi made the right call picking this outfit design, and in my opinion, he looks better than the two existing figures we have from Figma and Revoltech. I know some other reviewers like SSR64 experienced some oiliness on him out of the box, but my copy didn't have that issue. For accessories, he comes with a total of 4 faceplates, a serious determined face, an open-mouthed smiling face, an angry clenched teeth face, and lastly, an angry yelling face. The detail on this one is really nice. You can see his gums exposed on the upper left side of his mouth, and there's sculpt and paintwork for his forehead wrinkles. That's when you know Deku means business. He comes with 3 bangs in total, a normal bang, a windswept one, and then a windswept bang with full cowl effect. And while this one comes attached with the angry yelling face, each bang is actually interchangeable with each faceplate, so you can mix and match and even pair his happy face with the full cowl effect, which isn't a look I remember but still cool nonetheless. Deku comes with a total of 3 pairs of hands and one that's extra special. He has a pair of fists, a pair of semi-relaxed grabby hands, a pair of open palms, and lastly, one right fist with the black whip effect. The effect starts off black from the fist and trails off to an aqua green. I wouldn't say it's made of a soft plastic, but it does have some give where it connects to the fist, which would prevent it from breaking too easily. SHF isn't known for providing effect parts with their figures, so I appreciate this unique piece being included with Deku. Taking a proper look at this figure, you can see details like how from the top of his hair to his bangs fade from a green to black gradient. The same can't be said for the sides and back of his head though, where the color transition is quite abrupt. His scarf is made of a thick but softer plastic, so it's quite sturdy. The sculpt work and shading adds texture and depth to the overall figure. While we're on texture, there's so much happening on the figure, from the shine of his mask that's peeking out from his scarf, the horizontal layers from his elbows to forearms, that same pattern repeating on his gamma boots, which are done really well too. The little gold ornamentation popping up on his boots, leg brace and gauntlets are all quite tidily painted. Then the lines on his arms, shoulders, spreading its way to the torso and down to his thighs, while I wouldn't say are painted perfectly, the application is still good. You'd think all these elements combined would make the figure a mess to look at, but somehow they just work. On his back behind the scarf you can find the upper half of his mask just chilling. It isn't articulated though. Unlike his head, which can look up this much, not a crazy amount since it's hindered by the back of his head and scarf, look down this much, which is pretty cool cause he looks all mysterious with his face covered. Can tilt this much left and right, move very slightly front and back, doesn't have much shimmy left and right, and can turn 360. He has butterfly shoulder joints which help him do almost a Y pose, rotate this much, shoulder joint rotates 360, he has a bicep swivel that rotates fully, double jointed elbow which bends this much, could be better but the gauntlet limits it, which you can kind of get out of the way a little because they can rotate fully on his wrist. Hands are on a hinge joint which has decent range up and down and can swivel. Sad to say, my copy's hands also fit on too tightly on the wrist pegs. One of them is already visibly stressed, and I'll have to be careful and heat the hands up with a hairdryer before removing or putting them on. His upper torso crunch is good as he can bend this far in front, unfortunately not much backwards, and tilt this much left and right. His lower ab crunch is a similar story where he can bend really well in front, pretty good left and right tilt, but not much backwards. If you bend him all the way to the front, it leaves a big gap at his lower back, which you can kinda use his utility belt, a floating piece, to hide the gap. Yeah, it works, kinda. Oh, and he has some cheeks. His lower torso does detach easily when you crunch him too much though. You can easily put him back together, but something to take note of when posing him. For legs, he can nearly do a perfect split, kicks up well at 90 degrees, not much backwards because of his butt, but a bit more if you bring it to the side. He has a thigh swivel, a really nice double jointed knee, which aesthetically looks shaped for a robot, but still fits the look because of the amount of tech gear he wears. Top part of his shoe is a floating piece which helps with ankle movement, which he can tilt up quite a lot, tilt down this much, and tilt some left and right, so I think there is an ankle rocker in there. His toe joint tilts up this much. Finally, the back of his scarf that attaches to his back via a hinge pack can swivel 360 and can tilt this much downwards, but tilting it up is limited. However, you can reverse the underside of the scarf and tilt it all the way up like that. Though I think this side might actually have less shading. I'm not sure, but it's not a big deal. Altogether, this means this is one articulated Deku figure and he can hit almost any pose from the show. Just look how crazy his kicks look when you use both the torso and ab crunch. The scarf also really adds a sense of movement and dynamism to his poses. I do wish his lower shin was able to move closer to his thigh though. I love for him to be able to hit a spider crouch, but he just can't really do it. Maybe some cuts at the back of his legs, an additional shin joint, similar to SHF Tanjiro's, would have helped. Now it's time for some size comparisons. Here's how he stands next to some other SHF shonen protagonists, some Figma Nintendo characters, and lastly some Mayfax figures. All in all, this figure definitely lives up to the hype. Deku looks amazing, has great articulation, and comes with accessories that don't typically come packed with the average SHF figure. It is by no means a perfect figure without its flaws, like the torso coming apart and how tight the hands fit on his wrists, but they don't detract too much from the figure for me. You can feel the extra love Tamashii put into this guy, and if they keep it up with the upcoming Bakugo and Todoroki, the My Hero Academia line might just top Naruto as SHF's new best line. A big thank you to all of you guys who've watched till this far. Hope you enjoyed the review, and if you did, help a brother out and drop a like, comment, and subscribe to my channel for more. I'll be reviewing SHF Ace and Okarun as soon as I get my hands on them, so stay tuned. Till the next one, take care and remember to have fun with your figures.